My name is Kate Wilder. I've got a master's in criminal psychology. I'm an investigative journalist and hope to make a difference.
Hey, we're here with Jessie Buckley to talk about Supermassive's brand new game in the Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a bit about the character that you play.
I play a character called Kate Wilder, who is a presenter who's part of this documentary team who are doing a show about the serial killer H.H. Holmes.
America's first serial killer confessed to 27 murders. The number grew significantly. Nearly 200 lives.
I'm a serial killer documentary watcher. Is that your jam too?
Yeah, I'll watch a serial killer documentary.
Right? It's really relaxing. Like, okay, cool,
yeah,
I can
it's
chill
kind
out.
of fascinating why we're all addicted to kind of those stories.
We need a plan.
Yeah, you're mental if you're addicted to those stories. It's not comforting whatsoever at all if you're into that shit.
Torture chambers, secret passageways, vats of acid, and deadly vaults. In 1895, Chicago police
So, what do we know about this guy? He's rich, he's a recluse, he's obsessed with H.H. Holmes.
We're going to a property he inherited from a relative. Some of the rooms are full recreations from the murder castle. Dumet has blueprints, documents, artifacts.
Totally sane, I'm sure.
There are various elements we knew we wanted to explore when designing the hotel. From developing areas and set pieces that generated a constant sense of uneasiness and tension, to memorable track rooms that forced the player into frantic life and death decisions.
I'm so sorry.
We took a lot of inspiration from Holmes' original murder castle.
Honestly, they should have took inspiration from creating a better story. The problem with Dark Pictures Anthology, they've always focused on trying to create a unique playable experience based on whatever project they're doing. But they always fell short when it comes to characters and interaction of characters and story. Typically, you always think their characters are stupid, and you all think their stories are underwhelming. They either go halfway or they fell short. Like Until Dawn went halfway, and I would say this game also went halfway. But it never gets to the 75% marker or the 100% marker. Whoever do the stories for these simply don't know how to do stories, and they really have to get someone who knows how to do stories. And once the story is set and it's a good story, then you get good actors to play the good story. So it's all about the story and how those stories are transitioned in those moments in those stories. And it never seems to get the story right. The story is what's the selling point of the entire film. A character can act their ass off, but if the story is bad, they're not going to be able to, no matter how good they convince the audience, make the audience feel like the overall film or overall game was good. The story has to be extremely good, and the characters have to sell that story if it's not extremely good to be extremely good. So if the story only ends up being halfway, it's because the characters sell 25% of that believability to get it to halfway. And if the story is above halfway, it's because the characters sell the halfway point of the story being good to get it to 75%. So in this game, I would say this is halfway or just slightly above halfway, like 65%. Doesn't even reach 75%. So this is the best game out of their entire series, including the second best game that they've ever made. It's better than The Choir when it comes to a story, but it's not better than The Choir when it comes to character design and models and behaviors of characters, not the character acting and the intelligence of characters and behaviors. So I don't know what it is about them not being able to lock down the story, because none of their game stories have ever been good. None. Even Until Dawn, which was their best game, that story wasn't that great. It was a halfway point, and then the actors sold the creep factor and the behaviors to get it to 75%. But it is the only game in the entire series I was able to get to 75% because the script was halfway decent. I don't know what it is with this company when it comes to making stories. They're just not good at it. So let me just play. I'm interested in Morello's story, and then I'll do the Curator's cut, because Morello was the one who was pretending to be dement. So I wanted to see why. This is the only good thing about the game that was good. That you didn't know that Morello was actually Morello until, I mean, you know that he wasn't dement, but you didn't know that he was actually Morello, the book writer of The Devil in Me, the book. You didn't know that the guy with the goatee was actually the book writer. You thought he was someone else, but you never know that he was the book writer. So that was the only good thing, the really good thing in this story. That was the twist to me, that this guy was actually Morello. I didn't think he was Morello. I thought he was someone else. I thought he was various other people, but not the book writer. So this was the only thing that really caught me off guard, which is sad if the only thing that really caught you off guard in the game was one or two things. And I give it credit for saying two things, because maybe there was something else, but the fact that I don't remember what that something else was, maybe the creepy corner factor of thing with Aaron, I would say that was the only second one. Having two or three things in your entire game to be good doesn't make your game good. You have to have multiple things in your game that exceeds 3 things for your game to be good. And those things have to have more multiple things for it to be great. So if you have 5 things in your game that was very, very good, not just good, extremely good, then you got to the halfway point. If you have another 5, then you got past the halfway point. There was nothing in this game that was extremely good except the Morello twist and Aaron. Just 2 things. 2. I mean, this is a better game when it comes to all the Dark Pictures Anthologies game, and when it comes to games like The Quarry. But The Quarry was only better than this when it came to the setup, when it came to the twist, and when it came to the visuals, such as the actual facial animations and behavior and realism. Like, they always get something right, but at the same time, when it comes to Supermassive game, they always get more things wrong than they do right. I don't know what the hell it is with this company. I have no idea. I know what they're going for, but they seem to never understand the fact that they're making a story-based game, interactive story-based game, but they never seem to fully focus on the story. They're so worried about scaring and frights and stuff because it's a horror game. The story is the selling point of your entire goddamn game. You have to get that in your head first.
What's up, my people? It's Joe Morello here with another podcast talking about the beautiful thing that we like to call murder. As ever, I'm joined on the show by my wife. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Joe. Hello, listeners. What wicked delights do you have waiting for us on the coroner's slab today, Joe?
I'm glad you asked that, Michelle, because we're going to go deep with this one as we talk about the Shoe Shine Killer.
A new killer on the block.
And we have a cameo appearance from your friend and mine, Manny Sherman, the Beast of Arkansas.
What a lineup.
That's right. This is a case that's going to blow the listeners' minds, because I believe, and I'm just putting it out there, that maybe, just maybe, Local law enforcement got this one wrong.
Sounds like a great show.
You got it. But before we dig a little deeper and get to the juicy bits, I want to introduce a very important character in this story. FBI Special Agent Hector Monday. Let's take everyone back to Wednesday, January 15th, 1997, when Chester Bell of the FBI reported how Hector Monday and his team had apprehended the Beast.
Good morning to you all. I'm Chester Bell, Assistant Director at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. At approximately 0530 local time, a team led by Special Agent Hector Monday and supported by law enforcement officers conducted a raid of a motel room just outside Birmingham, Alabama, to apprehend Manny Sherman, the man known as the Beast of Arkansas. Using state-of-the-art psychological profiling techniques, Special Agent Monday and members of his task force not only identified their suspect, but predicted his movement with unerring accuracy. I'm delighted to say, we have our man.
Now, I've got something here that's going to put a different slant on this case altogether.
What is it?
I've managed to get in my possession extracts from the interview sessions between Agent Monday and Manny Sherman.
No way! How do you keep getting hold of stuff like this?
I have my sources, but I can't reveal them, not even to you. These tapes are being played for the first time anywhere in the world outside the actual interview room. Are you ready?
I think so.
Play the tape.
Manny Sherman, born January 1, 1956. Come on. You know all this. What do you want? What's this? Huh. You've been doing your research, haven't you, Special Agent Monday? What are my favorite television programs? Describe my first pet? What were your friends like as a child? What is this? You taking a survey, you're trying to learn something. Would it kill you to be direct? You wanted to know what inspired me? As if I wasn't an original? Well, maybe there was one man I found myself a little fascinated by. Henry Howard Holmes. Why? Because he was numero uno. America's first. The guy invented the trade. He set the benchmark, you know? Learn your history, Monday. Read a book. You think because I stuck a blade in some people and get off on it, I'm not smart? I, allegedly killed 13 people before you got smart enough to find me.
Oh, that was disturbing.
Did you hear the way Manny spoke? I mean, he was like channeling every sick psycho you've ever heard of. But he saved the best for last. None other than H.H. Holmes himself.
America's first serial killer.
The very same. Let's play the next tape.
I had to build my own little castle, just like Holmes did. Most people like me do their business where their target lives. That's just asking to get caught. Holmes had the right idea. It's all about the honey trap. You bring me some smokes, like I asked? Lucky Reds? Yes. Oh, these are like gold in here. Damn, that's good. So yeah, the honeypot. Holmes built a hotel about a mile from the World's Fair and called it the World's Fair Hotel, and bought ad space in papers alongside ads for the expo. The rubes from far and wide assumed it was the official hotel. Ma and Pa Kettle. Take a train in from Nebraska. Takes 3 days. They roll up into that joint ready to rest, get to their room, and whoops, what do you know? Holmes had a gas pipe hidden under the bed and poisons them. Or maybe he pulls a trap door on them. Maybe he separates them and makes one watch through a window while he slits the other's throat. That's the advantage of a honeypot. No shortage of targets. That's why I picked all those houses north of the airport. That whole neighborhood was scheduled for demolition, and yet all those lovely realtor ladies must not have gotten the memo. Call up as a contractor. Tell them I'm flipping. Have them meet me out there. And look at that. We're the only two people for miles. The first couple times I'd wait for a plane to fly over just to hide their screams, but after a while I realized they could scream as loud as they wanted. No one was going to hear a thing. That's what I remember most. Those screams. You can try to understand why I am the way I am. You can forensic science up all the data you want. But you'll never know. You'll never know, Monday. You'll never really know how it feels when you watch the fire burn out of somebody.
After capturing Manny Sherman, our man Monday was suddenly the hottest ticket in town. He couldn't go anywhere without someone wanting to throw a case his way.
Everyone loves a winner.
Let me lay this out for you. On September 3rd, 1997, the local PD found the mutilated body of an unidentified man in his early 50s behind an apartment block in the South Loop district of Chicago. Then, 2 weeks later, another body washes up on the East Pilsen River with the exact same modus operandi. Local law enforcement realized they were dealing with a serial killer. They needed help. So in the late fall of 1997, Agent Monday found himself in the Midwest heading up an investigation that would soon become synonymous with his name. Let's hear from Field Agent Danny Haywood on his first impressions of meeting with Agent Monday.
I first met Agent Monday.
Okay, so that's way too long. Yeah. They all played directly after each other, but that's all I needed to know. So now I can continue the story.
The wheel is 264 feet, Jeff. Can you imagine it?
I'm attempting to.
I bet you can see for 100 miles at the top. We should make that our first priority.
Whatever pleases you the most.
You please me the most.
You mean you are not weary of me after an entire day of marriage?
So this is going to be a very fast one. It's going to be very fast and very quick. I'm going to find as much collectibles as I can, but I'm just going to be focused mainly on the primary two. And the primary two are attached to Lucinda Monday. So anything that has to do with Lucinda Monday, or at least associated with Manny Sherman's birth and Lucinda Monday, is what I'm going to look for.
I will never be weary of you.
I shall hold you to that, my dear. I think we've arrived.
Isn't this grand?
As advertised. Very nice. Let's check in.
Are we the only ones here?
I'm sure there was a mad dash first thing this morning to get to the fair.
Try again?
The fair will show us all sorts of wonderful things to come. But the only future I care about is ours.
Talk like that makes me wish there was a way I could marry you twice. Everyone must be busy elsewhere.
That's no way to run a business.
Slow service. That means they're making sure everything is perfect.
That's my Marie. Always finding that silver lining.
My sincere apologies for both startling you and for making you wait. My attention was needed elsewhere. I promise from here on out it will be nothing but silver linings. First time in Chicago? I'm going to hazard a guess and assume you're here to take in the exposition.
The fair, yes, but that's not all. Today is a very special day for us.
Oh, a honeymoon. How very, very lovely.
Yes, today's the beginning of our honeymoon.
Congratulations. In that case, an upgrade is in order. A honeymoon suite it is.
Oh, well, are the rates that much higher?
Think nothing of it. The same rates as your regular room. The upgrade is on us.
Already there's big difference from the regular cut. Huge difference. This dude never signed in the book. The aspect, I shouldn't really say aspect ratio is the same, but the camera transition is different. The shots with regards to his wife, Marie, is different, as well as the extra dialogue that Dumet says, as well as these characters said, are also added. So there's already a lot of stuff happening with just a few minutes in. That's very different from the original theatrical cut. Anyone who says, well, it's not a huge difference, like, yeah, there's a lot of difference. He never turned around. You never saw his back turning around to get the honeymoon suite key. You never saw this guy signing in the book. You only saw Marie signing in the book. But you never saw his face as he signed in the book. You never saw Marie's face when she wasn't signing in the book. When this guy was talking to Marie, when Jeff was talking to Marie and to Dumet, or I mean not to Dumet, to H.H. Holmes, as well as I believe the entry for them entering the building. there wasn't a poster about snake eating before set up. So there are already 5 things in just a few minutes of this game that were added, both in dialogue as well as in how the shot was done. So that's a lot just for the first few minutes opening.
Our first honeymooners.
How kind. Thank you, Mr.
Holmes. Henry Howard Holmes.
You have a lovely hotel, Mr. Holmes.
Well, thank you very much. I designed and built most of it myself.
You're an architect, then?
Architect, designer, builder, doctor, artist. I'm a man of many interests.
Impressive.
Please have a look around. We have sundries and gifts at the pharmacy counter. I'll take your luggage up to your room and ensure that everything is in order. Just make a note if you decide to purchase anything, and we will add it to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. We appreciate it.
The pleasure is all mine.
I wish I could buy them both. Oh, pardon me, miss.
Careful, you. My husband gets awfully cross with men who act fresh.
He sounds like a ripe fellow. How's the marriage going?
Lovely. Thanks for asking.
Well, let's just head up. I'm sure the room is ready.
See anything good over there at the jewelry counter? Anything fancy?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Wonder what's in here.
I'm starting to think I've gone and married a thrill seeker. Ferris wheels, forbidden rooms. Are we looking for excitement?
Perhaps.
Nothing but an unfinished room. See what happens when you chase a thrill?
If this is you trying to get out of the Ferris wheel.
I know you won't be denied.
Wait. What's that? Don't move. That was a thrill.
You won't think it's thrilling if we're sleeping on the street after getting kicked out of here. Let's go.
Welcome, newlyweds, to the honeymoon suite.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Holmes.
Do enjoy your stay. If you'll excuse me, I have work to return to. I'm sure we'll see each other again soon.
Goodness, this place is fit for a king.
Or my queen.
Oh, you. Kiss this.
That is not very wifely of you.
Hey!
Bullseye!
You asked for it.
Should I be frightened?
If you're smart.
Okay, you win.
Oh, we're not finished.
Victory! Yeah.
You cheated!
Already different. Already different. Even in the QTEs, they're very different. Before, she was the one
All
that got
right,
the chance
have
to
your
throw.
bath, and I'll get shaved up.
Don't dawdle. We have things to do.
You want to rush off to the fair?
It's not going anywhere.
Did I forget to pack my razor?
It's jammed shut.
Maybe if we put a little weight into it? Open sesame!
Thank you. Why don't you have a shave while I take a quick bath? Then we can reconvene.
I know that word. It's French for something illicit.
Shush. Shave.
I think I forgot to pack my razor and kit.
I'm sure the pharmacy downstairs has them.
Don't be too long in that bath.
Don't you worry.
Better not. I could have sworn this was the way we came up. What? My God. Hurry! We'll get our bags and just walk out.
Yeah, I like the Curator's cut better. It's way better than the regular theatrical cut. But that's not the whole story, so Apparently, I'll have to see the whole story in order to judge it completely. So maybe this game will actually get more points simply because the Curator's cut is done better. Yeah. But no, it doesn't even matter if I give it more points. It still won't be able to exceed in the sixes. I don't see it exceeding in the sixes whatsoever. It will still be better than the other Dark Pictures games, but I don't see it exceeding anything like a 6.9. Originally, I gave it like a 6.6. Curator's cut can't be that different.
I'm coming!
Like, it can't be so different that I would have to, give the game like even more points. Because typically when I give game points, it goes by tens before I even reach like a 1 full point. It has to be like several things for it to get 1 full point. You can't just, I'll give it a point for that, and then that makes it a 7 and stuff. And several things. Like in the previous playthrough of Theatrical, I believe I was just giving it points as I was escalating, and then taking away points as I was going down. So it was the same thing, adding up the positives and negatives, but I didn't do the add, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, all the way 0.9 before I give it a full point. I was just doing the adding and subtracting. I'll do the same for this one as well. So every time I give it a point, it will accumulate unless a negative get in the way, and then I take it away. So it's not fully past the 6.6 territory yet. It's only like 3 things I've noticed that are actually an improvement. 1, how the story's cut. 2, certain actions that are done better. And from the point of view of certain characters, I don't know if it's 100% good or 100% bad yet, but there are only two things I truly say that are improved in director's cut is the point of view shots and this type of dialogue. So technically there's only 2 things, 2 positives so far. Like this, I'm walking down the hallway, I purchase the stopwatch, or not the stopwatch, the watch, and then running back to Marie. I don't believe it's as appealing as Marie taking a bath. So there are going to be ups and downs with regards to the Curator's cut. So I would say this is a subtract from me having to actually be Marie to take the bath. It's not as eerie and as appealing. So yeah, it's going to be like that. But I truly don't believe this will exceed a 6.9. For some damn reason, this game always gets more negatives wrong than it does positives right.
What are you? What have you done? Calm yourself, sir. Good thing your wife has had an accident. Is there a problem, sir?
Marie! No!
Marie. Don't fight. It's already done.
Still not as good as Marie struggling to get out the bathtub, and not as appealing as him getting gas. So, like I said, there are certain things within the curator's cut and theatrical cut that's going to go up and down. I really don't think there's going to be that big of a difference in curators and theatrical cut. There's going to be slightly improvements, but there are going to be some things that are worse than that of the theatrical cut. It simply is. And some things are going to be good. But I doubt, like 100%, I doubt this game is going to exceed the 6. It will have to be something dramatically appealing for it to exceed 6 and get into the 7 category.
A place for everything. Everything in its place.
Well, look at this.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Only the best for you, my dear.
Mother would simply die. It's so
I say,
opulent.
good man, do you work here?
Hello. Welcome to the World's Fair Hotel.
Oh, you're here. Have you been waiting long? Welcome back. I do enjoy seeing a familiar face.
Oh yeah, and another thing I noticed with regards to the theatrical cut in this cut, the curator is obviously being portrayed as death itself, or the angel of death. The whole crow feather thing is a representation of him being the crow, and looking through the eyes of a crow, or through different crows at events of death, such as the crow that was at the beginning of the story looking on the dead body of the rats. His job is to oversee death of things. So he's representing the crow, but he's also representing the angel of death. So basically he's a shapeshifter, an entity that can shapeshift into various different winged creatures, specifically winged creatures that are associated or claimed to be associated with that of death. Now, if he had transformed into like a black cat or something, that'll be something completely deviating from what he's supposed to be, a voyeur, that's angelic in form or spirit in form. I guess it will be kind of the same, but the curator has always been represented by things that are associated with flight, not creatures associated with things associated with ground. So it wouldn't be right to state that he's a black cat or a type of sea creature. His form of representation of death is things, creatures that are associated with death that can fly. So I've noticed that before when people were saying, I saw people stream, they were claiming that weird, there's a feather, and some people say, well, maybe he's a crow, and then maybe he's the angel of death, or maybe he's the myth, or maybe he's the chronicler of these stories and he has no association. He could be all those things, but one thing that he's 100% sure that the game is trying to tell you, he is the crow that's watching through the eyes of the crow. In this scenario, like in the House of Ashes, there were no crows for him to watch through the eyes of, but he was watching through the eyes of different forms of other things as well. And sometimes he would just pop up there to see things for himself, just physically there himself. That's because he's not really supposed to be in the form of the thing. He just chooses to be in the form of the thing. He's supposed to be actually representing death itself, or a form of the angel of death. That's why in this scenario, when you see the feather falls, and you see him looking in the mirror and everything, and you see him speaking as he's looking in the mirror, but the pan-in shot is not done from a front point of view. It does like a descending point of view, like he's descending in front of the mirror, as it's shown, because that's what was happening. It was panning in and descending at the same time, because that's what he was supposed to be representing. A crow in flight landing, or an angel in flight landing. So that's what he was supposed to represent in that form. Like he is the crow, and he is the spirit form that's descending. I'm not sure if anyone caught on to that. I'm pretty sure some people have, but that's what I've noticed throughout all the other games as well as this one. This one in particular is very specific about how he's shown. In House of Ashes, it wasn't as specific, but it was shown as well. In Low Hope, it wasn't as specific, but he gave hint into who he was as well. And Man of Medan, who was more ominous, and you didn't have any clue whatsoever, because there really weren't no true hints with regards to who he was. It was purely speculation. But as they're going along through these various stories, it's not just hints at what's happening in various different stories, but it's also a hint as who the curator is. By every time they make one and a story attached to the curator, they add something towards the curator to give a hint as to what he represents. In this one, it's more obvious. He represents the crow and an angel at the same time, or death itself, in the form with wings, the wings of death.
Holding on to a little guilt, are we? Hoping that this time around you might be able to save them all?
He's a shapeshifter. That's what he is. He's a shapeshifter. A spirit that could shapeshift.
It's so good to have company. For a long time I was on my own. I can barely recall a time when I wasn't here, watching over these tales. And what good are stories without somebody to experience them? This is a story about those who create, and the lengths they might go to for their art to be made pure. Art can elicit all sorts of reactions. Delight, inspiration, desire, yes, but also doubt, fear, dread. The way you react, the decisions you make, will affect this story. Hidden in the world, you'll find dark pictures. They give glimpses of the possible consequences of your choices. And sometimes it's the smallest choices that can have the biggest repercussions. You're responsible for what happens. You're culpable. I can't interfere. That's very much against the rules. I can only observe what happens and record any significant events. Oh. Ever seen one of these? They're very old. People used to call them obbles. They'd put them in the mouth of the recently deceased to pay the ferryman. Look out for them. You'll find them in the strangest places. I'll be happy to exchange any that you find, and I'll certainly make it worth your while. Well, shall we start? The game is afoot. I will be watching.
My name is Kate Wilder. I've got a master's in criminal psychology. I'm an investigative journalist and hope to make a difference. You may have recently seen my interview on Chicago AM on and yeah, it's really tough when just being honest means everyone thinks you're a bitch. I'm not. Sure, I've got issues to deal with, same as everyone. I'm working on it.
Hey, I'm Mark. I study photography at UCLA. Had a great time. Really want to get back into some serious photography. But yeah, it's a job.
I've been a key grip and lighting tech for years. See a problem, light it. You don't often meet someone like that. Man, how do you even start? I'm sick of being on my own.
Sorry, do you start with qualifications or, like personnel info? Because I mean, will anyone access this? I'm kind of private, actually.
Yeah, Charlie Lonitz, UK originally. I've been here for 20 years. The last series was so on track. It was a very beautifully conceived and didn't quite hit the mark as I was hoping it would.
Another thing with regards to the story, a lot of people might not catch on to this, but when the killer was fast forwarding the various different characters that you're going to be playing with, he was also, through the recording of their voice, searching for words that they were saying in order for him to use so he could frame them. So that's why he was doing that whole fast forward rewind thing, finding something within their dialogue of their voice and their words in order to cut and use. Kind of like he did in the theatrical cut towards the end when you discovered through a voice recorder that he was actually cutting the voice of the five and trying to frame them. So that one, I believe Charlie was the one to be stated as wanting to kill his other friends. But it wasn't true. It was just him going through the videos or the voice recordings of the various different characters, especially Charlie when he was over the phone speaking to Demet, who was cutting that conversation specifically. I guess it's the game's way, or it's the people who made the game's way are saying you have to be careful what you say to certain people and why you should always say positive things, because if you use negative things, some people can't try to see if they could use that to an advantage.
Enough. Oh, I've barely begun, Your Honor. You don't seem to understand. I was born with the devil in me. I could not help the fact that I was a murderer any more than a poet can help the inspiration to sing. Bury me deep, Your Honor. Make sure they fill my pine box with cement. Put me deeper than anyone else. And cover the ground with more cement, 'cause trust me, just being dead ain't enough to stop me from killing again.
On May 7th, 1896, Herman Mudgett, aka Henry H. Holmes, was sent to the gallows. His neck did not snap from the force of hanging. Records indicate he hung, slowly suffocating for over 15 minutes, until finally, the monster was dead. America's first serial killer confessed to 27 murders. But as investigators sifted through the traces he left behind, following his path from city to city, the number grew significantly. Nearly 200 lives. America's first serial killer, and possibly the worst. He was buried as requested, under concrete. Was he hoping to hide from God's judgment? Or did he truly want to keep the devil from climbing out and killing again?
There's another thing with regards to the story that I'm not sure if a lot of people caught on to. Maybe they haven't, maybe they have. When she was giving her speech with regards to Herman Mudgett's trial and escaping God's judgment, and Monday speaking and the judge listening, obviously it was a performance of two people acting the role to pretend to be Monday and the judge pretending to be the judge. So it's not really recording off that case. It was doing a true crime story or a true documentary. So whoever the actors that were playing the judge were supposed to play the judge that looked kind of like the original judge that was on the trial for Monday in court. And they tried to get an actor to look somewhat like Howard Holmes. I kept saying Monday, but Henry Howard Holmes. They got an actor to look like Henry Howard Holmes, but it's not the same look of the Henry Howard Holmes that I saw inside of the hotel where the two couple were killed, because obviously this is a video that's being made by our 5 main players. So they hired an actor to pretend to be Henry Howard Holmes in their video, and an actor pretending to be the judge. So if anyone's ever confused with regards to that, I would like, okay, why would you be confused at the obvious? It's a video recording of a documentary that they created. So they wouldn't be able to actually get the real Holmes video because those things didn't exist during those times. So it's a pretend. That said, I mean, if there's anyone that was ever confused about that, that's kind of obvious why Holmes look a little different from the Holmes in the hotel, because one is an actor and the other one's the real deal. None of them look like the real Holmes from reality. But based on what the game's point of view, Howard Holmes looked however the game says Howard Holmes is supposed to look, and that actor was supposed to portray how Howard Holmes should look like. So would have looked like.
What do you think?
To be honest, Charlie, this is a pilot.
Hold that thought. Lonnet Entertainment.
Charles Lonnet, please.
Speaking. Charlie is fine.
My name is Grantham Dumet.
What can I do for you, Mr. Dumet?
Actually, it's what I can do for you. Hear me out.
I'm certainly grateful to you, Mr. Dumet. This all sounds amazing, but I'm waiting to hear what the catch is. No offense.
None taken. I'm in a privileged position. I don't need for much, but my time is at a premium. We need to do this today. I'll send a car for you this afternoon, 4 p.m. Be ready.
This afternoon? We're talking a couple of days shoot. I've told my team they're free this weekend, and frankly, they're a temperamental bunch. Without them, this conversation is dead in the water.
I've told you what I have. Please don't waste my time. Am I sending the car or not?
Yes, of course. We're in. I'll get them there. I promise. Let's do it. Mr. Dumet send you? Right. Let's load up, guys.
I got it.
I'm good.
Sorry.
Are you?
I mean, this is that ring light that makes you all glowy. We leave it behind if
You're right.
This is going to be grand, people.
Have it never occurred to anyone? I mean, I understand the story of where it's going, but it's never occurred to like the people who made this game that if they're trying to make a good story, like a good and great story, like if you're trying to make it as realistic and as good as you could possibly make it and as great as you could possibly make it, when you think that people would question why the front area of the car is so dark and you can't even see the driver, and for reasons why not to get in. I understand privacy is one thing with regards to the job, but the driver as well? No. That's another failing of the game. there's certain things that it makes sense, but certain things that logically you want privacy. Privacy doesn't mean even your people are privacy as well. Otherwise, it was stated in the game, which it did not.
Excitement. Anyone?
Road trip.
Huzzah! Woohoo!
Hooray.
This is gonna be great, guys. So do we know where we're going exactly?
You don't like surprises?
You know what this reminds me of?
Don't say it.
Topeka?
Exactly.
I mean, the entire limousine is blacked out. So when they got inside of the limousine, no one's going to see them driving in the limousine towards the island. But they will see, someone will see them getting into the limousine. And that's the odd thing with regards to the story I never quite understood. Like, obviously, someone would see them getting into a limousine, or there'll be, since this is the 21st century and it's in the 2020s, that's the game says so, it's 2022. There are street lights, and street lights typically have, since they're in a city location, for every street light that's on a street block, there are actually cameras that are set on top of a street light. So for every multiple street light per block, those street lights, not only those cops surveillance cameras, don't only look one way, they turn and look the other way as well. So obviously they would see them getting in the car. Let's say a surveillance camera for a police monitoring system. The camera is only pointing one way down the street. Then the camera that's on the other street lights are all that's on the same block will be pointing in the opposite direction per that block as well. So the person will have to be very specific of making their turn. So it's literally impossible for this car not to be noticed, or for these people not to be caught going into that car. In fact, towards the end of the game, they even stated as well, these people were saw getting into a limousine and they were never seen for again. So the police knew when they got into the car. The police knew what direction they were going in the car, but they didn't know who they were speaking to or where they were going. So they knew who these people were, and they knew the car itself. So they could get some idea of, I guess, where, based on the direction the car was going, where the car might have been headed. And since surveillance lights are connected not by a single computer at the police surveillance command center, they could go over footage of all locations that show where the limousine was going. Eventually, we track where the limousine was last seen before the last street surveillance camera from police was not set up. So they already knew where the limousine was going and how far the limousine went before there were no more tracking. So you kind of get the idea of where they went. So cops could know where to follow anyway. So even if they did get in, they know where the car was going. They didn't know where the car was going past a certain point where there was surveillance, but they kind of get an idea of that region where they're supposed to survey based on where the car went, period. So that's kind of like a good thing that they put in the game, but at the same time did not really put it in the game. I just put it in the game and stated that's what it is, that there were surveillance cameras of police officers on top of lights. The only thing, good detail they did put in the game is that someone saw them, or someone recording saw them, or police surveillance may have recorded them getting into the vehicle. So that's a nice little detail, but they didn't tell you how the detail was. So it's a nice little thing that they added, but at the same time, they didn't state what it was.
Me, No money in my pocket, a dead phone, and lost in the middle of goddamn Topeka.
That wasn't my fault.
It was 100% your fault. Because you fly by the seat of your ass. So, come on, Charlie. What do we know about this guy?
He's rich, he's a recluse, he's obsessed with H.H. Holmes. Totally sane, I'm sure.
We're going to a property he inherited from a relative. That's who had the obsession with Holmes. Some of the rooms are full recreations from the murder castle. Dumet has blueprints, documents, artifacts. When I said this would save the show, I was not exaggerating.
And you substantiated all of this?
Just trust me.
Sorry for all the mystery. Before we go any further, I have to ask that we lock up your phones for safekeeping. While this may sound strange that I invite you to film the collection inside my home, I cannot allow any personal devices that may share information that could affect my business or lifestyle. There are rules. All footage you wish to use must be authorized by me first. I require privacy and discretion. I must insist.
His place, his rules. Look, what he's offering us is worth it. Could be making us pay, but he isn't. If this is all he asks, then we do it.
Fine. For the show.
I'm telling you, this is gonna be great.
You said that in Topeka.
If this dude is so rich, shouldn't he have servants or something? This guy gonna help? No, really. I got it. Thanks, bro. Don't sweat it. Jackass.
Okay. So now what?
I'd love to get some footage of the lake and the scope of this.
Not with all the mist and fog.
There, from on high, we'll get a better look.
That's certainly, up there. The visuals will be great, and we can frame up over the net.
Another thing the game did not explain logically, and doesn't make sense. If the vehicle driver is actually Hector Monday, the burner, which it obviously is, and he entered through this section and led them to where the ferry is going to pick them up, and then he exited out through the same section. Like, how did he get to the island from here if the only way to get to the island is by the ferry? Is there some secret passageway in order to drive to the island? Did he get on the ferry boat along with them after he parked the limousine in a certain section and then secretly was on the boat? As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I know, there is no section within the ferry that they get on, a secret passage or any rooms on the ferry. So how did he get back onto the island? That's another thing that the game didn't explain. Or here's the thing, maybe he invited them to get onto the ferry, left, waited for them to get onto the ferry, then when they got off the ferry and got onto the island, the fake Dumet allowed them to get inside of the castle, or inside of the mansion. And then the ferry came back, and then he got on, and then got back on the island. So here's something that's inconsistent. Here's another thing that's inconsistent. If that's the case, then the guy in the yellow jacket pushing their luggage around, if he's actually the real Hector Monday, how can he get to the island that fast? Because by the moment they got to the island and started to walk up, after they met Dumet, the fake Dumet, the guy in the yellow jack was there so fast to pick up their luggage that it doesn't make sense. There has to be a reason and explanation to how he got onto the island if he didn't take the ferry. That wasn't explained. And that's another reason why I've...
26. There's the...
Charlie, you'll hack up a lung before you're halfway up there.
I'm fit as a butcher's dog.
Mark, this is crazy.
We'll be fine. Let's go, Charlie.
Be careful, guys.
Nice knowing you.
Come on. This is taking too long. Get going.
Get on with it.
That way, maybe?
This way?
Get going.
Hey, guys, hurry up!
We're on it.
Jesus, that is loud.
It's meant to be heard from miles away.
Well, yeah, I know that in theory, but...
Oh, so much for plan A.
We must be able to work our way around. Come on.
Anything for the shot, right?
Listen, Mark, I just wanted to say, thanks for backing me up, man.
What? About getting this footage?
No, for the whole trip. You know some of the crew can be challenging to work with. Jamie and Kate would never have agreed to come if you hadn't been on board.
I figured that the episode was such a mess, we needed all the help we could get.
Right. Yeah. I guess we do.
Wow. That's a lot of lives lost. Hey, when we wrap, I'd like to take a couple weeks off, go see my family.
I need you in post. I really appreciate that discerning eye of yours, you know.
I got a lot going on at the moment, Charlie.
Oh, right, yeah, of course, sure. Take a couple of weeks. Get your head together.
I appreciate it.
I'll be fine in post on that.
You should do the same. Take some time out. You got any family you can go and bother?
Oh, well...
No, Mrs. Lonnet, you got hiding in some closet somewhere?
Married to the job.
Married to the job? How's that marriage working out?
Well, from what I hear about real marriages, pretty damn good.
Married to the job. Holy shit. What the hell is that thing?
A dummy. Dummy.
Well, yeah, but what is it doing here?
Taking a vacation. coming?
Yeah. Just looking at the light on the mist.
How is that going to fit into the show?
It just caught my eye. Coming.
Always the photographer.
I can't exactly turn it off. There's a lot of crossover between the creative stuff and the commercial stuff.
You sure about that? Because crossover with Kate hasn't exactly...
We agreed to let that drop for the weekend.
Just making sure your head's in the game.
End of the road.
There might be a way around.
Let's hope so.
This looks pretty old.
What's that?
Just some old coin. Find a penny, pick it up. Look, sorry I give you a hard time now and again, but I really couldn't make these shows without you.
That's not true.
I may be driving this car.
What car?
The Lonnet entertainment car. But you're the one who keeps the engine going.
It's not how cars work.
Jesus, you try and give someone a compliment.
Thanks, Charlie. I get it.
Nice to meet you too. Just need some fresh sheets, some nice drapes.
And 6 gallons of sanitizer. Charlie, I'm getting an uneasy feeling about this.
Somebody has a taxidermy hobby. Relax.
Some hobby. Oh, look at this. It's all wired up. Shit. You see that?
What?
It moved.
What moved?
It's gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay. Look at this. It's perfect.
Come on, get shooting. I want you to pan across the lake until the island comes into shot. Then zoom into that lighthouse. Look, there's all right. Come on, we better get back.
That him?
I don't know. We just had the one call.
How did he know what our show was about in the first place?
Actually, I didn't ask.
That's weird.
Let's just play nice, okay?
Hello, Mr. Lonnet.
That's me.
I'm Grantham Dumet. Everyone climb aboard and we'll head out.
This is Mark.
Mark?
Erin, Jamie.
Ladies.
And this is Kate.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Dumet. I'm looking forward to seeing all it is you have to offer. We truly appreciate this.
Lovely to meet you all. What say we get underway?
Again, I really can't thank you enough for this opportunity.
Of course.
Was it your great-uncle you said that...
Let's get to where we're going. I'll explain everything later.
Sure. Of course.
Let's get up to the hotel. Please, let's stay close. Stick together.
Is it dangerous here?
No, of course not.
You sure? Because you don't seem sure.
It's perfectly safe, but we are a long ways from help if somebody gets hurt, so please, take care.
Looks like things are buttoned up tight around here. God.
This way. Don't worry about your bags. I'll make sure they're brought.
I'm not exactly dressed for a hike, Mr. Dumet.
It's just a short walk. It won't take long.
You're right. He takes his security very seriously.
I wonder what he's afraid will get in.
Maybe you should be asking what he's trying not to let out.
Jamie.
Just saying.
You watch too many horror movies. He values his privacy. We've known that right from the start.
We've known that for about 2 hours.
Just go. Mark, get your camera. I want to grab a quick intro from here. I need some shots leading up to the house. Don't need the whole journey. Kate, talking to camera, then I'll direct you from there, okay?
No photos. No recording of me at all. Is that clear? I'm a very private person.
Don't worry, Mr. Dumet. Discretion is Lonnet Entertainment's motto.
You want the usual intro stuff, Charlie?
Please.
The light is good.
I'm ready to go. Aaron?
It sounds clear.
Okay, let's go for a take then.
Is Kate's face ready?
Bitch, I'm always camera ready.
Stop trying to make me like you.
Rolling.
Speed.
And action.
I've just arrived on the private island which claims to have genuine artifacts from H.H. Holmes' Reign of Terror. I'm heading to the house right now.
Perfect, Kate. Now turn to face the house and start to walk.
Okay, that's enough.
And cut.
We really do need to get going.
Anything you say, Mr. Dumas.
This way.
You'll steal some more shots, right?
Obviously.
Mr. Dumet is being really restrictive.
I noticed.
I want you to get a look around without him knowing.
A man is entitled to his privacy.
He's cagey. I want to know what he's trying to hide.
What do you want to do?
What you did that time with those cops in Glendale.
Seriously? Ah! Ow! Oh my... Damn it!
What happened?
You okay?
You get your baby ego again?
We should get her up to the hotel.
Oh my God, I can barely move it.
Jamie, stay with her.
Why me?
Because you know first aid. Remember how you patched her up? In Glendale?
Oh, right. Okay.
We'll find some ice and a bandage and come back. You have that at the hotel?
Yes, sure.
Then let's go.
What is going on?
Come on. I'll clue you in later.
Been taking acting classes again?
Yeah.
What's Charlie want?
A better lay of the land.
And we're the scouts because?
I'm charming, and you can hotwire your way past security. Come on. Hey, can I ask you something? And get a straight answer? You know, without you making a smart-ass reply or taking a shot at me.
That works both ways.
Fine. Tell me the truth. Is there any saving this show?
Maybe. If there's some sort of magical holy grail of footage or information to be had here.
You think that's likely?
No. At best, we'll get some nice B-roll. That's not gonna save our asses. I can do this. No point just standing around. Bang your head.
He could have told us to dress for a trek. Don't look down.
I got it. Relax.
Do you live out here on this island? Get down. With your family?
My wife is... she died.
Oh, shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude.
Come on, we're about there.
They didn't see us. Let's go. This is ridiculous. There's nothing out here. Well, that's gross.
I heard you were looking for a new place.
I'm not sure I can afford the rent on this one.
Wonderful natural light, though.
I wanted to go on nature hikes, I wouldn't have moved to the city. This shit is not in my job description.
What about over there?
This reminds me of shit summer camps. Okay, if I can get the car moving and stop it here, we'll be able to get across.
There must be something around here.
Maybe we can get this thing working. God damn, I'm brilliant! What's through here?
Hear that?
No point just standing around.
Hey! Oh. Oh, God, that's so much better. I guess I just needed to rest it for a minute. I think I'm okay.
We found a shortcut up the hill.
I really need you to stay where I say.
You got it, Mr. Dumet. We're all here now. Let's head on. Everyone stay under the watchful eye of Mr. Dumet, please. Kate. What do you think?
A summer camp from hell.
Whatever. We're gonna find out what's up his sleeve before too long. Don't worry about that.
Coming or what?
Uh-huh.
You afraid of heights?
Maybe. Yes.
I'm sure it's fine. Dude spends $1 million in security. He'd opt for a better bridge if this one wasn't safe. Besides, even if you do fall, look at all the soft water down there, swirling around those jagged rocks. Wait, is that a skeleton wedge down there?
Ha ha, you're hilarious. Go already.
Ooh, that's serious drop. You good?
Oh, man.
You can do it! Eyes forward. Don't look down.
I got it. It's fine.
Is it, though?
I shouldn't have looked.
It's just water down there. You can swim. Besides, the bridge looks dependable-ish. Come on. I'll help. That's it. Look. It's fine.
I'm not looking.
Don't look down.
Yeah.
See? Not so bad.
Thank you. You always knew how to get me through the shit, didn't you?
We should catch up to Mr. Dumet.
Where is everyone?
Apologies, they're all city folk. Come on, let's go. We're losing the day, people. Wow. Mr. Dumet, this place is magnificent.
Yeah. Maybe this won't be a waste of a weekend. Hello. Wonder who you are.
What are you doing?
I saw a little girl. Up there.
Probably Demet's daughter. Maybe she recognized you from TV and she's running down here for an autograph.
Maybe.
Everything in here is fragile. Please be careful.
Man, this is brilliant.
Whoa.
Look at this. It's amazing.
This is intense.
Would you all mind signing in at the desk, please?
This isn't everything.
I'm sure the rest is almost here. I'll make sure it gets to your rooms.
Kate's makeup case is slowing it down.
Erin, cigarettes.
Blue backpack.
Settle in, and I'll meet you all at dinner. At 8.
Mr. Dumas, I cannot say thank you enough times. This is truly fantastic. I told you all this was a good plan, didn't I? I told you.
Alright, that's where I'll stop it right here. I'm going to stop it right here. Yeah, this is where I'll stop it. I'm not going to forward the curator's cut. I'm not going to I'm not going to proceed forward through the whole thing. I'll do the same thing I did with this one, by steps, because I don't know where these last two secrets are. All I know is they're hidden somewhere, and they have to do with Lucinda. Where they are, don't know. They either have to do with Lucinda or have to do with Monday. Either in the mid of the game or towards the end of the game, or for all I know at the beginning of the game. But I'm not going to go through that whole scenario again. Spend loads of hours on this. For the director's cut, I'm just going to take my time on it. And I will say for the director's cut, there are lots of things that are better than the theatrical, and there are some things in theatrical that are better than the director's cut. So it's a half and half. Some things work, some things just don't. And in this case, I would say it's half-half. The point of view of Jamie rather than the point of view of Kate is no different. And the additional dialogue is about the only thing that's a slight improvement, and the point of view shots. So there are only about 2 or maybe 3 things I could find that's better than the theatrical cut, but not really. I would say about 2 things most. Extra dialogue and the different shots, different perspectives from characters. And that's about it. Not enough for it to go past 6.6 to 6.7. But I'm pretty sure as I pick up along the way, it's going to reach 6.7. But it doesn't really matter, since this game will never exceed the 6 category into the 7 category. They really need to make better stories. And this was a decent story for this game, but it wasn't a great story. It wasn't a good story. It was a decent story. A good story implies that from beginning, middle, and end, it was good. A great story implies that it was good from the beginning, and good from the middle, and good towards the end. That makes it great. What makes it good was okay in the middle, okay from the beginning, and okay towards the end. It was okay all around. That's what makes it good. This story wasn't okay all around with regards to its story. It was okay towards the beginning, and towards the middle it kind of fell off, and towards the end it was kind of okay, but it wasn't slow. It didn't fall off like House of Ashes towards the middle. It felt more paced, but it felt slightly off. I would say it was a good story all around, but it really wasn't that good of a story, if I think about it, with regards to decision making. Because decision making of characters in their acting positions and the choices they have to make applies towards the story. It's not just the story itself. What the choices you make apply towards a decision making of how the story would go. So it's not just simply a story. The decision making affects the story. So, or it affects the path of the story. So that's not good with regards to how decision makings were set up for you to make these decisions in this game. All I could say is the game is decent enough to be called good, but not good enough to be called great. That's all I could say. It's slightly above average. You know, when you get grades in school, you have average, then you have slightly above average, and then you have above average. Above average entails you've gotten an A. Slightly above average means you got a B plus, and that's what this game is. It's a B plus with regards to the story, but it cannot get into the. It's not even a B plus. I would say it was more like a solid B. B plus entails that the story was more rich and fulfilling, but it wasn't magnificent. This story wasn't magnificent, and it wasn't that rich and fulfilling. It was rich and fulfilling in certain sections. So it's not even a B plus. It's a B. B average story, which means it's better than the other House of Ashes, Little Hope, and Man of Medan, because those games were in the C's. But that's just how the story is. The story is B. Everything else from that story pulled it down from that B towards the C category, such as characters aren't that interesting, such as situations weren't set up, such as choices they made, such as logic of what they were doing. Everything eventually got pulled down slowly. Negative outweighs as positive. So it got pulled down slowly. And eventually got pulled down so slowly they end up falling into the sixth category, such as 6.9, 6.8, 6.7. So as much as I want to find positive things to keep this thing as like it's a C plus game, it just came off as a C average game. Because to me, C average games are in the 6s to the 7s. That's C average game. Like, it's not the same as when you're in school, you get C, it means it's a 7. And when you get D, it means it's a 6. In video games, if you get a C, you know, it means it's a 6. You know, the midpoint, the average midpoint, you know, that you slightly pass when it comes to school is C minus, you know. So that's already in the 6s, C minus. But in video games, you know, the midpoint between that of negative and that of positive is a 5. It's like a graph on a mathematical graph. You know, it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it goes down negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not exactly the same. So when someone says the game's a C, you know, in video game form, it's not in the 7 categories. You're thinking school-wise. It means it's in the 6 categories. And when someone says a game is an A or A plus, it's typically in the 9 categories. It's not 10 out of 10, or it's not like a full 10 or high 9s. It's either in the low 9s going up to the mid 9s. Or when someone says the game is a 9, they typically like, or should they say the game's you know, a B average game, you know, a B plus game, or a B plus plus game. They're not saying that the game is, you know, an 8 or something. They're saying the game range anywhere from the 7s to the low 8s. You gotta look at it from that point. I mean, like, math scoring of how you give score towards things is just not the same as when you give scores towards games. You start from a midpoint. and then you slowly dock points away from the game if it starts to get bad, or you start to add points to the game, it starts to get good. It's like a scale, so it's not the same as scoring stuff in regards to taking a test in school. Video games are more on a scale process rather than how good you did on your quiz or on your test. So I always dislike people who use B+, B average and stuff rather than the point system. 3.5, 4.5, or 2.5. I always hate people who did B+, B average. Like, sometimes I accidentally do it, but then I catch myself doing it and I realize that's stupid because it's not the same. You're confusing people and make them think a game you consider 7, is actually like a C or something. Or a game you consider A+ is actually like it's in the 9 to 10 categories there. Or a game you can consider B+, people are going to automatically go towards the math territory or testing that they did in school. I think that is an 8 or something. Like, get the hell out of here. All right, games aren't like things that you put. You could make it that way because you're an idiot if you make it that way because you think you're smart and shit. But that's not how scaling of things, accelerating things goes when it comes to gaming. And these dumbasses who think they're smart would never truly understand that scaling things is not the same as scoring things with regards to how much you pass or how much was given. It doesn't work that way. Scaling things is based on percentage increase, the difference between something increasing and decreasing. Scaling things is like, if you really want to think of it from math portion, it's like, how can I say it's like calculus. That's what it is. Scaling things on a scale is like calculus. It's not average math, or it's not average English, or it's not average reading. It's by the percentage. Like calculus does sines, and sines are based on slopes and slope waves that are on a graph. Like if you create a slope on a graph, or any slope or any curve on the graph, the dot number that's on the slope at those specific graph points, whether they're graph points going up or graph points going left or right, at that specific location on that slope, if you're going on that slope at points from the top of the slope going to the bottom of the slope on the slope points, follow the top graph of the y and x axis. That's game accelerating by points on the point system. It's not, oh, you got all the questions right, so it's B, or it's A. So you got to understand that, like, on slope calculation, or how would I describe it if I am going to use calculus as an example? I would describe it as the difference between integration and the difference between derivatives. Whereas integration is the whole average and derivatives is specifics. Or not even derivatives, more like the sine itself or the slope itself is specific, whereas integration is the overall average of something. Or if think about it in this way, it's like the area of something. What's the area of a square? You get the whole area of the square, length, width, height, the whole area, and then there's the specifics of the area, or not the specific of the area, but the specifics of the perimeter. Is two different things. One is area and one is perimeter. There's a difference. They're not exactly the same. It's understanding the difference between perimeter and area. That's why I never score games based on perimeter. I score them based on area. Or if I am going to score them based on area, I don't score them based on perimeter. you got to pick a side. And most of the times, I don't pick the integration side. I pick the slope side. So I'll end it here. And I'll probably continue this. To find those last two, I don't know where the hell they are. Last two secrets. Because I'm going to close out this game finding all these secrets. And then I'm going to put this game away and never play it again. But I want to make sure I get all of them before that I completely do that. Because this is not one of those games that's so long that you give up and not try to find those secrets. These secrets can be found on probably 1 or 2 and maybe even 3 gameplays. But I'm going to try to see if I could get it on all on just 2. So that's it for this video.